there's a good chance you've never heard of Blackrock. Founded in only 1988, in less than 30 years, this American financial firm would grow to become the company that owns the world, managing assets worth $6.3 trillion. These are assets that belong to their clients, mainly the pension funds of ordinary people, teachers, police officers, nurses, and many more. And that's just the beginning. Blackrock has also developed a software platform called Aladdin to perform risk analysis for its clients. It receives sensitive data from banks, insurance companies, and other important institutions. Through Aladdin, Blackrock has insights about the management of financial assets worth another $20 trillion. Blackrock also has shares and voting rights in many of the biggest European companies, in sectors such as energy, oil and gas, transportation, food, and of course, finance. The company holds public debt in the form of bonds and has real estate interests. And still, there's more. Our Rock, you see, wears many hats. Aside from being an investor, it is also an auditor and an advisor. Governments and central banks invite a Blackrock subsidiary called Blackrock Solutions to audit them and to provide advice about the management and rescue of banks. Yet at the same time, Blackrock is often a major shareholder in these same banks. In other words, the company often sits on both sides of the table. Blackrock Solutions gets privileged access to highly sensitive information that could be valuable to Blackrock itself. Does this constitute a conflict of interest? No, says Blackrock, which claims that the company has established Chinese walls between its different subsidiaries. In January 2018, Blackrock's founder and chairman, Larry Fink, sent a letter to all of the CEOs of the companies Blackrock is invested in, asking them to do more than deliver financial performance and make a positive contribution to society. So Blackrock not only owns the world, it also wants to save it?
Blackrock is coming under scrutiny by one investigative author, and she's calling for them to be broken up under antitrust laws. Ellen Brown is an attorney and author of numerous books focused on the financial sector, and she's the founder of the Public Banking Institute. Ellen, thank you for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you.
How have they gone almost completely undetected by the public, unlike companies like Goldman Sachs and the like? And what sparked your recent write-up on them?
Well, they were just appointed in March to administer as much as $1 trillion of the Federal Reserve's bailout money, money that's allocated to purchase corporate debt. So this is basically toxic corporate debt, like happened in 2008 when the Federal Reserve bailed out Bear Stearns and AIG by buying toxic debt off their books. And Blackrock was set up then to manage those sales. And so that's one reason they got the job. But this was like a no-bid contract to deal with a lot more money, in this case, up to $1 trillion. And BlackRock's main business is exchange-traded funds, or that's their main profit maker right now. And they are the biggest exchange-traded fund manager in the world. They and two others are the three big ones, and they have a controlling interest in every single big corporation in the country. And exchange traded funds they manage or they are invested in by pension funds and other funds, and the funds generally control the stock market. So in effect, BlackRock controls the stock market. And the first thing they did with this power was to bail out themselves. They bought exchange traded funds, 50% of which were owned by BlackRock. So there's an obvious conflict of interest here. And the problem is that they're bailing out the financial sector at the expense of the non-financial sector. So they are feeling no pain, and all the pain is imposed on us, the people in the real economy, the consumer producer economy.
Sure.
At best, if you got a bailout, you had to go you were lucky to get unemployment or to get payroll protection from your bank, and then you had to stand in line and qualify, and many hoops to jump through. But BlackRock bailed itself out, no strings attached. They didn't have to go through Congress. no debate.
Can you tell us how they seem to have dodged any scrutiny under the Dodd-Frank legislation?
Well, the argument was that they're not a bank, which is true technically, but they're a shadow bank. They do many of the same functions as a bank. They don't leverage like 10 to 1 to as a bank does to create money on its books, and they don't use depositors. They don't take deposits. They're not FDIC insured. And they say that they're just a passive asset manager. So they're not. But in fact, they vote the shares on all these stocks. And the exchange traded funds were in trouble in March. In fact, 40% of those very volatile trades in March that were taking down the economy were exchange traded fund trades. So they were instrumental in this market volatility and market collapse. So the argument is that they had to bail out the exchange traded funds to bail out the whole market. So they are obviously systemically important, systemically risky, and they should be regulated.
Now, you also say that BlackRock is exploiting the pandemic. In what ways are they doing that?
The financial crisis actually started a year ago, at least. I mean, everybody knew we were in a bubble, stocks were overpriced, and all it took was a pin to break the bubble, and the central bankers were meeting in August, as they do every year in Wyoming, and the theme of it was how they had lost their tools. They had no more tools left to stimulate the economy if we went through another recession. So BlackRock actually made a proposal that is what was done when we did have this collapse. So everybody was expecting a pin sooner or later, and the pin turned out to be the pandemic. So they were able to say, well, it was a pandemic, nobody expected it, and so we didn't expect to need this bailout, but we have to do it because we got to save the market, which is true. I mean, if the market went down, it would be like 1929, but this should be prevented ahead of time. I mean, we need regulation in there that keeps this from happening, or at least puts strings on any bailouts that happen.
Sure.
It was,
Now, Ellen, real briefly, given the risks that one entity this size could potentially pose to our entire country's economic stability, what do you propose needs to be done? And do you fear that we are going to see another crash like 2008?
Yes, it looks pretty obvious that we're going to see another crash. But what's happening is that the rich, the financial sector, is feeling no pain. They're the ones being bailed out. So they've got the money to buy up all the little mom and pop businesses that are going out of business. It's going to be another case of the rich getting richer, the rich having the money to scoop up all the assets at fire sale prices when all the small players have to sell. And we need some sort of a system that protects the public interest much better. And I've written, articles and books. It's kind of complicated how we would do that.
Yeah, and I urge everybody interested in this subject to go check out her writings there, her books, and of course the Public Banking Institute. We can learn a whole lot there. Ellen Brown, thank you so much.